let's continue the rear view review further, where we delve into what has happened in our country since the beginning of lockdown. The government pressed the lockdown button, assuming that it is the best solution. It was fair to assume that the government never thought that there would be extensions to the lockdown when it was declared initially. But how long would it be possible to keep the entire country in complete lockdown is a big question, which we will deal with separately in the second section of this article. The government is not receiving any taxes due to complete lockdown. On the other hand, government requires huge money and the need is increasing day by day to combat COVID-19 and to pay regular expenditures such as salaries or pensions. The GST collection was a wash-off during the lockdown period. These twin blows have prompted the government to seek largesse from World Bank or International Monetary Fund or Asian Development Bank to fund the big expenditures or stimulus package. Companies have closed abruptly and were unable to conduct businesses. Finished goods lying idle at warehouses would put pressure on cash flows, and loss is certain for perishable goods. In case of milk, we saw companies throwing away milk in drains and rivers. With lockdown across the globe, we as a generation saw a barrel of oil trading less than 1 liter of water, followed by oil trading in the negative zone. It's quite baffling why oil producing companies, major oil exporting countries did not stop or reduce the oil production in the light of reduced global activity. Private companies have started furlough, that is granting a leave of absence from employment, but kept on payrolls as in the UK, or have asked people to work without pay for a few months as in the Middle East, or work at reduced salaries as in India. Private companies have found out that many business trips or travel or hotel accommodations were unnecessary, and the same results can be achieved via conference calls. It has been a revelation that work from home is not as bad as contemplated vis-a-vis the employee productive levels. The huge savings on office rental expenses would be something companies, at least in the startup sector, would be keen to explore on a going forward basis. Airline or hotel and tourism, cruise ships businesses are in huge distress, and we may see many leading international companies applying for bankruptcy in the near future. Example is Virgin Atlantic Airlines, which has pressed the panic button already. In the case of financial institutions such as banks or NBFCs, there is a creeping uncertainty of NPA spike as a result of distress in many sectors. While debt moratorium is a welcoming measure, it is just a temporary relief as banks or financial institutions are unable to quantify the spill or impact of people or businesses losing their income. We as a country felt ashamed to understand that there is no specific law to deal with the manhandling of doctors and medical staff who are working in the front line risking their lives. The government rose to the situation by comprehending the dire need of the hour and has come up with interim measures. It won't be a surprise if India would cite a mass exodus of foreigners returning to India when pink slips are issued in order to protect the labor force. The foreign governments would be least committed to protect foreigners' employment. The government has imposed stringent measures on foreigners returning to India and inter-district or state levels. We might have understood a bit how Ambani's and Tata's and other big Indian companies can contribute to nation building in times of crisis. Their actions, such as constructing exclusive COVID-19 hospitals, were loud enough to understand that these big corporates can match up to the levels of Indian government. So, we'll go on to predicting the future, the road ahead.